basement view. Hey, how's it going, gang? Well, it's Monday, January 5th. Man, I was getting ready to say July. I was getting ready to say July. Boy, tell me I ain't wishing and hoping. So, crazy. Hey, what's going on, Lisa and Carmen? Hey, how y'all doing today? How we doing today? Hey, what's up, James? What's going on? Um, okay. We know what went on uh um over the weekend. We know what went on over the weekend. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. Um, I have to laugh. I have to laugh because, well, we knew it was coming this way anyway. We knew this the direction it was going. So, you can't do nothing but laugh. We knew this was coming. You got to be smart enough to know this is coming. Sometimes, the writing is on the wall. Uh, if you remember all of that, all of that equipment that was moved around into the area down there, all of those task forces and battle groups, we knew what was coming. What's up, Charles? How's it going? Uh, you know, we knew what was gonna happen. But before we get into that, Laugh and Gira. Yeah, before we get into that though, I do want to run this one story past y'all that is that was sent to me, and I want to run it first because this I thought this is you know it's funny that people still do this. You would think people would not be doing this today, but there's a guy running around down in Galveston posing as a cop. You still got people running around posing as cops. So we're gonna look at this story first because I just want to get it out of the way. Cause hey, what's up, Vanessa? Happy New Year to you. Right back. Glad we could all make it. Thumbs up on that one, huh? uh, but for right now, just let's look at this cop story. Then we'll go into the weekend madness. Okay, check this out.
Badge number.
I don't have to give it to you.
You're not a real cop. Stop shining that light in my eyes. We begin at 6 with an investigation in Galveston, and police there say they've arrested a man who's pretending to be a member of law enforcement. And tonight, investigators say they're looking for other people who may have interacted with him.
Show the badge. They're over here at 24/7. All right, you see it? Do you see it? Good.
You just hit me in the face with it.
Galveston police say they were led to 44-year-old Joshua Warner in November, but he was only arrested a few days ago. ABC 13's Nick Notaro reports from Galveston after speaking with a man who says he caught the suspect in the act.
What the hell is going on?
What looked like a late-night traffic stop to the people behind the camera immediately felt wrong.
What the hell did we just see? That ain't even a cop.
Robert Harvey and Bruce Redman are self-described community activists who patrol Galveston County streets and regularly record police incidents. Nearly 2 months ago, they came upon what they thought was one near Galveston Strand.
He was doing everything a normal police officer does. He had people's ID in their hand. He was shining his flashlight at these people in the face.
However, Harvey says he quickly realized something wasn't right.
I noticed his gear and his outfit. It looked like it just came in from Temu. It wasn't like real cops wear it.
Harvey says there wasn't a police cruiser either. In the video, Harvey tried to get information.
What's your name and badge number?
Don't have to give it to you.
Harvey asked to see a badge. Eventually, he says, one was shown.
You see it? Good.
You just hit me in the face.
Moments later, the man took off in a blue vehicle. Harvey says they tracked down officers around the corner.
I felt like this guy needed to be snitched on. That is very dangerous what he was doing, you know. We don't like bad cops, but somebody pretending to be a bad cop is worse than a bad cop.
Galveston police said the incident sparked an investigation. Days ago, officers arrested Joshua Warner. Officers say witnesses told them Warner pretended to be an ICE agent.
Right now, Warner faces 2 counts of impersonating law enforcement, but Galveston detectives believe there may be more victims. That's why they put his information and photo out to social media and asked anyone who may have been unlawfully detained by Warner to contact police.
After I shared the video, stories came in from everywhere. People were emailing. I probably got 100 emails, 100 messages on Messenger.
People Harvey says he encouraged to contact police like he did after seeing this.
Who the hell is that? They're shining a flashlight in his face right now.
Now it's Warner behind bars, where he's being held on a $500,000 bond.
Very happy that they arrested him and got that dangerous guy off the street before somebody got hurt.
Nick Notario, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
All right. Now he's impersonating a cop and then impersonating a ICE agent. You know, as if it ain't enough crazy shit going on. You got this lug nut out there running around, and I guarantee you that dude is guy getting ready to get some serious time. Yeah. Yeah, throw the key away on this dude. I tell you what. You know, imagine him going in the joint with a bunch of convicts, you know, and because he pretended to be a bad cop. You know, he ain't even being a good cop. He pretending to be a rogue cop. How stupid is that? And if you looked at his face, okay, we're going to go political on this one. We know who he voted for, right? All right? We know who this guy voted for. The face on this guy told the whole story. This is a nut. And people ask me why I wouldn't go to Texas. I would not go to Texas. I would not go to Texas. No. That's what you got running around in Texas. Okay? Running around with his gun belt and shining his light in folks' faces. Now, if he'd have got blasted out of his socks by them people that he pulled over, then what? Then what? Just pay attention to who pulling you over, who telling you to stop, you know, because this is the reason I show this shit, because, you know, you got these people out there, and they're not isolated to Texas, you know. They're not isolated to Texas. Yeah, I get it. Running around trying to be a bad cop. All right. Let's move on. And like I said, get back to the elephant in the room. Okay. So we have now invaded Venezuela. We've now invaded Venezuela. And apparently, the plan is we are going to run the country. We're going to run the country. Huh. So, while we are in Venezuela, you know, how are we going to do that? Can somebody give me some insight, cuz I do not know how we run another country? Somebody give me some insight into that, because I'm not familiar with that. How we run another country from here, because he arrested, and we're going to say arrested because it was the FBI that did it. It was the FBI that arrested him. So we're going to say he arrested him. So they arrested the president of another country. And has him here but he did not change anything else in the country. The vice president of Venezuela was installed by their Supreme Court and is, in charge. So somebody tell me. How do we run a country? Okay, first of all, can we trust he just wants the oil? Yeah. Yeah, he said that. This guy, see, the first thing, let's get beyond he wants the oil. We know he wants the oil. He's talked about the oil, and I'll play a couple of clips of that. He wants the oil. Hey, now you just hit on it, Carmen. You just hit on it. It's a distraction from the Epstein files. Yes, that's what it is. It is a big distraction from the Epstein files. That's what it is. Anything to keep people from talking about the Epstein files. Anything to keep people from talking about the Epstein files. Now, one question I've had up to this point was, how far would the military go for this guy? And, I cannot say that I would really hold the military responsible at this point. That was one big ass military operation. I think that was a big war game for the military. I think that's what that was. If anybody, I would blame the generals and the admirals involved. Farther down the ranks, maybe some of the higher up ranks, but farther down, um, you know, you're told about a mission and you're told what the mission is for. So, okay, let's check out the cover story. Here's the cover story. All right, here's the cover story.
I think that the European Union gets to determine what international law is. What they certainly don't get to determine is how the United States defends its national security. The United States is under attack from organized criminal narco-terrorists in our hemisphere, and the president is responding in the defense of our country. I do find it interesting that all these countries want us to send, and supply, for example, nuclear-capable Tomahawk missiles to defend Europe. But when the United States positions aircraft carriers in our hemisphere where we live, somehow that's a problem. So I would say that the United States is, and this president has made very clear, his job is to protect the United States from threats against the United States, and that is what he's doing in this operation.
Okay. Narco-terrorism. That's the cover story. Okay, that's the reason we went in. Narco-terrorism. We went in to get a narcotics dealer out of office. Okay? Now, that's the story. Now, somebody explain to me, first of all, Marco Rubio, someone in Venezuela, helped U.S. military. Yeah, they had plenty of ops in there and everything, of course. But the military went in. See, they said they were doing a police action to grab a drug dealer to be charged in America, indicted and arrested and convicted in America. So that's a police action. And they said the military assisted in a police action. The military is not allowed to assist in police actions. Okay? By law, the military is not allowed to assist in police action. Military does not do policing. I guess we're bending the rules here. I guess we're just bending the rules. Yeah, you caught that too. This is our hemisphere. The entire Western Hemisphere belongs to the United States. Yeah. You got that, did you? The entire Western Hemisphere belongs to the United States. Now, I don't know if any of you watch C-SPAN or anything, but today at the UN, the Mike Waltz, the guy who got kicked out of his cabinet and sent to the UN, literally made the same argument that Putin made for taking Ukraine. Today, he made the same argument at the UN that Putin made when he decided to take Ukraine. You can't make this shit up. Okay. So you went in, you grabbed this guy, you brought him to America. How many troops is it going to take to go back? Because I can only assume they left a few people there somewhere. They didn't pull everybody back out. I'm assuming. I don't know this. They left the entire administration that was there still in charge. So the vice president that was under this guy is still in charge. And the word is, she better cooperate with us or she'll get the same thing he did. She better cooperate or she'll get the same thing he did. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Now, fast forward to today again, and all around the world, we are being condemned. We are being condemned all around the world because Marco Rubio said it was about narco terrorism, right? That's what he said. It was about narco terrorism. Well, let's hear what Trump's got to say about it.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
So which one is it? Is it narco terrorism or is it oil? Well, let's see. Let's see this. He made an argument back in 2023. Let's look at what he had to say back in 2023.
We're buying oil from Venezuela. When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door. But now we're buying oil from Venezuela, so we're making a dictator very rich. Can you believe this? Nobody can believe it. You know where the oil, their oil is garbage. It's horrible. The worst you can get, tar. It's like tar. And to refine it, you need special plants.
So, sounds like we knew what the plan was a long time ago. I mean, from the horse's own mouth. We knew what the plan was. Now, for those of you who have paid any attention, back a long time ago, I mentioned another country by the name of China. And the fact that China wants to take a country of their own. You know, they want to take a country too. See, when Russia decided to take Ukraine, China started chomping at the bit. There's a small island called Taiwan. And China has been chomping at the bit to take Taiwan. And who's been standing in the way? The United States. Now, somebody explain to me how the United States can stand in anybody's way at this point who decides they want to take a country. Russia's in the midst of taking a country. And apparently, we just took one. So, what happens next when China decides they want to take Taiwan? Are we going to get involved and say, no, you can't do it? Now, understand how important Taiwan is. The majority of semiconductor chips are made in Taiwan. All them chips that go into your phones, your cars, your TVs, all of that stuff. Remember when COVID hit and we couldn't get TVs and stuff? We couldn't get cars and stuff like that because the cars were built, but there was no computer chips to go into the cars to make them functional. Taiwan. And China wants it. So this action that occurred over the weekend may well have destabilized the security of the entire planet. he has also started threatening Colombia, Mexico, and Greenland in the last day. Where are we going with this? What happens next? And for those of you who got sons and daughters or relatives in the military, we now know what he's capable of doing with the military. In order for ExxonMobil, Chevron, any of these oil companies to go into Venezuela, there's going to have to be a military presence in Venezuela. They're not going to just walk in, walk over to the refineries, walk over to the oil wells and say, okay, here we are. You know, we got a bunch of buckets and we're going to bucket this oil out of here. It don't work that way. All of the equipment in that area is obsolete. You're going to have to rebuild the entire infrastructure. And this is not something that can happen today. You know, you're talking years. You're talking years. By the way, when you start talking about bringing the oil here, it's the hardest oil in the world to produce into something. It's the real nasty crude stuff. It's not the easy stuff to produce. It's the hardest stuff. And by the way, did I mention one of the largest refineries in America belongs to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia down in Houston. It belongs to Saudi Arabia. So who's going to be producing this fine oil if you bring it here? And by cutting off this oil that's been leaving Venezuela in the ships that's been leaving Venezuela, you're choking out Cuba, you're choking out the rest of South America. And I know China and Russia getting theirs from there as well. So there's going to be a stink put up about you choking off this oil supply. There's going to be a stink come up somewhere down the line about this. I don't know, I don't know where this is going. I don't got a clue. Because, again, we predicted this was going to happen. We know he was going to do something to try to get everybody off the Epstein files. We know that. We also know he's going to try and do something to try and stop this next election. Remember, we have an election this year. In November of this year, we have the midterm election. Did anybody remember that? Remember him going into Texas telling the Texans, hey, to steal those seats? That was for this year. So we know he's going to try and muddle that up some kind of way. So this could be the precursor to that. Oh, say the band played on. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But and the one thing that I don't know if anybody even discussed is Brazil borders Venezuela, and Colombia borders Venezuela. these people are some of the best armed guerrillas and gangs you've ever seen. What if they want the oil? You know, Venezuela's already been occupied by some of the worst gangs on the planet and some of the best armed gangs on the planet. Who going to fight them? Can you imagine fighting a Colombian cartel, a Brazilian cartel, a Venezuelan cartel? Can you imagine fighting all three of them? Well, I guess the band plays on. I can't wait to see what happens. Can't wait to see what happens. I tell you what. Let's see what let's see if we can find what the Russians, maybe I got that clip, maybe not. You say them gangs better come on with it. I know that's right. I know that's right. I tell you what. I mean, you know, to do any of this stuff, you're gonna have to be on some of those borders. You know, you're gonna have to deal with them gangs. I'm assuming they thought about this. I'm assuming they thought about this. But let's hear what the Russians had to say about it, okay? This is the Russian ambassador at the UN speaking on this issue here.
No, and can be no justification for the crimes cynically perpetrated by the United States in Caracas. We firmly condemn the U.S. act of armed aggression against Venezuela in breach of all international legal norms. In connection with the confirmed reports about the presence of the abducted president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and his spouse in the United States, today, as we are aware, they are in New York, we call upon, corrects the Speaker, the U.S. leadership to immediately release the legitimately elected president of an independent state and his spouse. Any problems existing or conflict between the United States and Venezuela need to be resolved through dialogue. And this is precisely what is enshrined in the UN Charter, for purposes and the principles of which a number of states in recent years have begun to apply selectively, depending upon the political landscape. Today, we are reaping the consequences of their recklessness and selectivity in matters related to respect for the norms of international law, which were linked to the so-called rules-based world order. Here is your rules-based world order in all of its glory, which is horrifying even the staunchest Atlanticists. Mr. President, we extend our firm solidarity with the people of Venezuela in the face of the external aggression We firmly support and completely support the policy of the Bolivarian government, which is geared towards protection of their national interests and the sovereignty of the country. Washington's aggressive acts have already been condemned by many states and multilateral associations, including the Non-Aligned Movement, the African Union, as well as a group of friends in defense of the Charter of the United Nations. We hope that the international banditry will immediately be met with objective and comprehensive assessment at the international legal level with United Nations, universal mechanisms, and other multilateral formats being brought to bear. This process must not be impacted by the recognition or non-recognition by any given states or groups of states of the legitimacy of Nicolas Maduro.
Well, you get the gist of it. You get the gist of it. That was the Russian point of view. Okay? That was the Russian point of view. The Russians are scolding the United States on international law. This this is and by the way, during that UN assembly meeting, it was across the board. The United States was condemned across the board. Okay? The only one in the room that was saying anything in favor of the United States was Mike Walls. His nutty, his fruity ass was in there talking crazy. You would think the Russians and the U.S. switch places. You would think they swap places. It's crazy. So, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to digest all of this because the other part to that is what happens if somebody just decides to launch some kind of action here in this country? See, most people walking around this country seems to think that this country can't be hit. A lot of people have forgotten 9/11. A lot of people have forgotten all about 9/11. What happens if somebody decides, hey, why don't we go over and arrest the American president? Since that's what you can do now. Since the American government is just so good, that's what they did, with Saddam Hussein. The Iraq war that we were lied to about weapons of mass destruction, same thing. Guess how that turned out? It's still fucked up. To this day, it's fucked up. Iraq is a mess right now. That's what happens when you destabilize a whole region. You say that would be great. Hey, you don't believe that, man. You don't mean that. You wouldn't want the man arrested, would you? And took to another country. Well, hey, wait a minute. I mean, since that's what we are now, you just fly in, arrest the president, and take him to the country you want to take him to. You just grab your citizens off the street and send them to a prison in a country, well, maybe not your citizens or people, just grab people off the street, send them to a prison they've never seen or heard in a country they've never been to, you just send them there. You just call the prison and say, hey, these people haven't been convicted of anything. We're just going to send them to your prison. You know? Oh, we just flying in and we're going to arrest your president. And your vice president better do what we say or he or she will get the same thing. That's what we doing now. Can somebody explain to me what happens if someone else decides to do it here? Now, I know there's a great many of folks here that wouldn't have the biggest problem with that. But the question is, if that happens, you know, it could set a chain of events off that could literally destabilize the entire planet. We are somewhere right now in between peacetime and war. We are in between peacetime and war. We're somewhere in the middle. Okay? All it takes is one group to do something here, launch something here, do something here, and we got complete destabilization. I tell you what, you know, I've been sitting here, what I've been talking about for over a year now, and that's, go out and get your stuff to weather a storm, make sure you got supplies that you need, make sure you stock up on stuff, yada, yada, yada. But this could lead to a complete destabilization. And one thing that got me, the funny thing that got me is Wall Street. Now, Wall Street went in heavy on oil companies today. They went in heavy on oil companies today, and the companies that make the machinery. And I'm thinking to myself, these greedy ass bastards. That's the only thing they could think about is how can we make a buck off of it. And also lost respect from the rest of the world. Everyone hates the USA. Well, I tell you what. If it were me, I would not be leaving the country anytime soon. I would not be leaving this country anytime soon. Matter of fact, could you imagine the looks you would get from people in other areas? Could you imagine the looks you would get if you stopped off a plane somewhere else? You stepped off a plane. You stepped off a plane in Paris right now. In London, Damn sure don't carry your ass to the Caribbean. Okay? Don't go to South America. I wouldn't step foot nowhere South America right now. And I bet there's planes right now in the air taking people to South America. I hope they be okay. I hope they be okay. But most of the world, which is why I mentioned Wall Street, there's people right now that don't even know. There's people right here in this country, right now, that don't even know what happened over the weekend. There's people right here that don't even know it happened. You know, we know it's about the oil, but the thing is, the oil, that's years away. If they get it at all, that's years away. Years away. This, for nothing else, is all about the Epstein files, and let's talk about something else. Hopefully, those in Congress will see this as the distraction it is and keep the Epstein files up front. Right up front where they're supposed to be. Hopefully that happens. Well, that's all I'm going to say about that today. Maybe we'll speak about it some more Wednesday. I do intend to get that. I probably won't get that because that may be copywritten. So we'll see. But I'll try and see if I can get Mike Waltz's speech at the UN. Crazy as it sounded, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, how you gonna tell Putin? How you gonna tell Putin to stop what he's doing? Putin went into Ukraine because he doesn't want Ukraine to be part of NATO. Ukraine sits on Putin's border. Putin does not want Ukraine to be part of NATO. Putin sees NATO as Western forces butted up against his border. He doesn't want that for his country. He already has a northern border with NATO on it, up there with Finland and Switzerland and Finland in it. So he doesn't want to be surrounded by Western forces. Mike Waltz, literally on the UN floor today, said the United States doesn't want forces from China and Russia and other places in the Western Hemisphere. You just made the same argument Putin did. You just made the same argument Putin did. And I really don't know how we became the masters of the Western Hemisphere. That's beyond me. But apparently we're the masters of the Western Hemisphere. We decide what's right for everybody in the Western Hemisphere. Let's see how that turns out. Anyway, I'm done with it for the day. Maybe we'll chat about it some more. It's amazing. It is amazing that I think this guy's gone crazy. I literally think he's like stepped off the deep end. That's our hemisphere, yeah. Yes, it is. Apparently, it is our hemisphere. And did you notice how he kept saying, that's our oil? they stole it from us. Did anybody notice that? It's our oil. They stole it from us. How did Venezuela steal our oil? I wonder if I got that clip in here. Because I thought that was interesting that it's our oil. Check this out.
We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own.
Okay. For those that don't actually know what happened, there was contracts between the big oil companies in Venezuela. Venezuela nationalized their oil. Yeah, I think it was back early 70s. So they had contracts where the refineries and infrastructure for getting the oil out of the ground and processing it went to these big companies. Well, when other regimes got in, they broke the contracts. You know, they was like, hey, we throwing y'all out of here. We don't want y'all in our country taking our oil. The infrastructure, can it be contractually belong to the companies of the United States? Yes, it could. I believe it's still in court. To this day, I think that conflict is still in court. I believe. Though that infrastructure could technically belong to American oil companies. But that infrastructure is so old and no good. The only thing you could possibly do in court is come to some settlement of a monetary settlement. That's all you can do. You can't force yourself into a country. If they don't want you there, you can't force your way in. You can sue and say you owe me this much money for the equipment you stole from me. The oil in the ground does not belong to you. Now, they may have had contracts for X amount % of the oil that gets pumped out. Oh, well, that's a court battle. Okay? That's what that is. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I'm done for this evening. Thanks for hanging out with me. We're gonna follow this because when he was standing there saying that we're gonna run Venezuela, Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth had the biggest surprised looks on their face. They looked like they had just got slapped in the face with something. I don't think they knew that they was about to be running a country. And he said them with a team is going to be running Venezuela. Hey, stay safe there, Carmen. I appreciate you showing up. Thank you. So I want to see how we run Venezuela. That's all I got, y'all. Take it easy. I'll be back Wednesday. We'll see what happens then. Oh, by the way, I don't even know. Is there football on tonight? Am I missing a game? I could be missing a game, huh? I don't even know. Anyway, I forgot to even look. I got some slow internet going too. All right. I'm out. Take it easy.